Hello and welcome to another edition of the Morning Update live on NTN. I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jessie Leonce. Today is Friday, the 18th of December, 2020, and the Ministry of Health has indicated that it's recorded its fifth COVID-19 related death. We'll be getting to that in just a moment, but I just want to let you know that we have in studio with us our first interview of the morning, Mr. Hubert Austin Pierre, the president of the St. Lucia Red Cross, and he will be speaking to us on the efforts so far of that institution to help with the COVID-19 fight, as well as the response to the dengue outbreak here in St. Lucia as well. And the St. Lucia Red Cross is continuing to celebrate its centenary, 100 years in existence since 1919. So hopefully he can also speak to us about some of the activities surrounding that. We'll get into that in just a moment, but first we hear from the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmont-George, on the fifth COVID-19 related death registered yesterday, the 17th of December. Take a look.
Today, Thursday, December 17th, 2020, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received confirmation of one new case of COVID-19. This is from a total of 145 samples tested, with one positive and 144 negatives. This brings the total number of cases diagnosed in country to date to 279. Case number 279 is a 39-year-old male from the Grosile district who is also recording as St. Lucia's fifth COVID-19 related death. Yesterday, Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, case number 279 came into the respiratory facility as a critical patient with other severe underlying medical conditions. At the time of admission, the individual was assessed and also tested for COVID-19. The individual passed away while in care. An epidemiological link has not yet been established for this case. Investigations are ongoing by the contact tracing team to determine any possible existence of a link with this case. The Ministry of Health and Wellness, we express condolences to the family and loved ones of this individual. The Ministry sympathizes with the family during this time of loss. It is important that we continue practicing the infection prevention and control guidelines to minimize the spread of the virus. Wash your hands during the day using soap and flowing water. Wear a mask in public places and ensure it covers the mouth, chin, and nose. Maintain a distance of 6 feet from others. Use a bleach solution to sanitize frequently touched surfaces and frequently handled objects. Also, avoid contacts with other persons who have flu-like symptoms. If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, keep away from others and seek medical care at the closest community respiratory clinic. The Ministry of Health and Wellness will continue providing updates as new information becomes available.
Was the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Sharon Belmont-George, there giving us an update on 17th of December of the island recording its fifth COVID-19 related death. And just want to remind you to continue to adhere to the protocols which took effect this week, the 15th of December. It has been revised, reduced in light of us registering a lower rate of cases here on island in the last couple of weeks or so. And we do hope that we can maintain the gains that have been made so far. We could remember back in October, early November, there were quite a few cases being registered. The trends were alarming, but we've so far seen a decrease in that trend, and hopefully when we go into the Christmas season with persons adhering to the protocols and abiding by the infection prevention measures, that we can continue to see reduced cases going into January 2021. We have an update from the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Local Government and Empowerment. I read it yesterday from the Parliament building, but it is important to repeat even into today. The Ministry of Equity, Social Justice, Local Government and Empowerment wishes to notify all clients of the Public Assistance Program, that is the PAP, of Castries, Babonneau, Gros-Islet and Soucy Millet regions that payment for the month of December 2020 will commence from Monday 21st December to Wednesday 23rd December 2020 at the Castries City Hall from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily. Please take note of this. If you missed any bit of information, I will read this out again toward the end of this morning's broadcast. And now to our first interview for the morning with the president of the St. Lucia Red Cross, Mr. Hubert Austin Pierre. A special good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. The humanitarian response globally to COVID-19 has been widespread. Just speak to us about the work of the St. Lucia Red Cross from our neck of the woods in responding to this pandemic.
Okay, as far as this is concerned, once the news was out, and I must say that ever since 2012, there have been this talk about this global pandemic. We were faced with H1N1, and at meetings internationally, one believed that that might be it. But there are a number of things that we understood and learned later. But having said that, without going any deeper than what I've said to you as a matter of an introduction, we at the St. Lucia Red Cross, from the time we heard the China matter, we decided we need to plan, because we already knew it will make landfall in St. Lucia based on the knowledge that we had had previously. So we began doing things like risk communication instantly, posters of prevention, and focusing on wash your hands and that type of thing, distancing, especially for persons who are ill and the type of way the disease is spread, whether it is waterborne, airborne, and certain things we're not sure about. So we had to take the precautionary measure. The fact that one can say this year we didn't have a flu season, it is something unusual, and people need to think about that. And basically, one of the things would be, it is because we have practiced a little more cleanliness by keeping our hands clean and not taking it to our mouths. And that is the basic reason, nothing else. And so we realized, we did the coloring books for kids and how COVID is being spread, and we went right across the board with that. Then we decided at the second level, when it makes landfall and things begin to get worse, we'd start doing what we call food security. And subsistence feeding, we'd be distributing food parcels to people. And we aimed at 3,000 and 2,003 for vouchers, and we're actually doing the vouchers now. Then we had the 400 unconditional cash grants that we gave people through an ATM card. We went into training of 40 volunteers. We did psychological support with our volunteers. We distributed about 500 leaflets of the same for mental health, etc. And we did 200 posters with messaging to encourage persons to get in touch with their feelings, and one PSA on the same thing. And then, of course, we had the hygiene parcels, which we did 200 of these, to make sure the cleanliness. So we had an MOU with the Ministry of Health to transfer patients from the respiratory hospital to AKU and so on. And because now we have 4 ambulances on the ground, and we donated a whole lot of agents to the Ministry of Health, and that would be sanitizers, cleaning agents, masks, gloves, to ensure when the second wave came around, they were better prepared. And of course, the facility providing care for elderly and shut-ins, including St. Lucy's Home, we reach out to all of them. We also reached out directly to OKU by means of some medical supplies and foodstuffs, etc. 200 face masks we distributed to the general public because we went to town just to encourage the awareness. And we said, well, I walk down the street and I see people on a Western Union line, for example, and they're one on top of the other like cattle. So we went down the line and he said, hey, whatever it's worth, true, false, or whatever, alarming or nothing, just wear a mask, please, And then we had the volunteers, 40 of them trained, where we signed the MOV of contact tracing and all this type of thing. So we are still on the ground, we are still working assiduously. It is a matter of trying to get St. Lucians to a specific level of dignity. Because for us, in the first instance, when we distributed the food, it would mean that maybe we are giving people things that they cannot consume themselves. That is why we have decided to do the voucher. So you can go to the shop and buy what you want, you know, instead of all this canned stuff and all that. So you can go and get some fresh vegetables and you can actually use it to buy a medication. So that is the way we are thinking.
Wonderful. Speak to the degree of assistance that the Red Cross has been offering in 2020 as compared to previous years. You mentioned the hygiene parcels, you mentioned the grocery bags and so on. We take into context also the layoffs by the thousands here on island. To what extent did this contribute to the work of the St. Lucia Red Cross in terms of increased work, more workload, etc.?
Yeah, it did increase our workload. I mean, when I came in as president, there were about 3 persons working at the Red Cross. Now we've got 11. And we have extended. I mean, I've spoken to quite a few friends, having worked or spent some time on the advisory board in Geneva for 4 years. I made some friends in some powerful positions so that I could, you know, we walked the corridor, we begged, we asked, you know, and it worked out. And so much so that now we are almost finished. I only need the keys to a building that we just constructed in Vieux-Fort to have a southern branch. So we have increased quite a bit, and we have them a lot. For every response, for example, for hurricane response, etc., we have never been able to spend so much money at every given time. It's close to $3 million, you see, that you're talking about now. And COVID has done quite a lot in that sense to disrupt people's lives, and sorry to say some persons have lost their lives, and I would like to say if COVID related something rather than COVID. For me, it is just a matter like HIV, people don't die of AIDS, they die of something related to it, that type of thing. So as far as that is concerned, we have had to do more work than before. And I haven't added the ratio of the volunteer hours and the cost, which in itself would be, I think the last time we checked it, it was about $350,000 worth of free labor in that regard that the volunteers have given towards the effort. And they have risked their lives, you know, in inverted commas and that type of thing.
More work, more resources, more funding. You mentioned you've made friends in high places. Speak to us about the commitment of the Federation to responding to COVID-19 in a holistic way and, of course, providing the funding necessary.
Yeah, the Federation would always be, you know, the agent to respond to this, the agency really, because we are the biggest humanitarian body in the world, and we are in about 193 countries now. So we would be the target to carry out anything like this. And all of us have to work in our locality. So it has been high. The world is divided into 4 or 5 parts by the Federation, you see, 4 of them. So we have the Americas, and the Americas budget was very, very high. So we were able to tap into the Americas budget one. I got a telephone call from a friend, hey, listen, you're responding to COVID, how much money do you want? And you know, that type of discussion. We have $50,000 there, Mr. Pierre, we'll give it to you. You know, you get that kind of discussion because all along, all the years, the relationship we built, one cannot remove anything from that type of relationship. It was close, it was open. If you give the St. Lucia Red Cross $20, they would report back to you for your $20. And I said, but why did you do it? I said, but you need to know. And the trust has been developed. So sometimes we don't even have to ask the question. Knowing what is going on, we want to offer you X, Y, Z. What do you think you can do with it? And that's where we have reached now.
Wonderful. The COVID-19 situation, looking at the relationship that the Red Cross is having with the Ministry of Health. Let's talk a little bit about that in terms of the work that has been conducted so far. You mentioned assistance with transfers from OKEU to the respiratory hospital. Speak to the extent of that collaboration.
Well, that collaboration, first and foremost, we were in agreement with the Victoria Hospital for the use of our ambulances. So once the transfer were to be done, the decision was taken that the Red Cross can do it and will do it and support them, because we are really there to support the medical services, give and take what is written in the National Plan for Disaster Response, etc. So it was an easy something to do. For me, I had my own concern ever since, I think it was April, when I got the call that we have the dengue in Ancillary. And instantly I reported to the Ministry of Health what I had found on the ground. And please look into it before it escalates from what we are hearing. Suffice it to say, I heard nothing more, but beyond that, the talk was constant. The person who actually went to hospital, who reported, they said, okay. So I said, okay, we can give you nets and repellents and so. So hence the reason why we're into cleanup campaigns, repellents and nets distribution, especially for people who have babies and the children are sleeping during the day, and the nature of that mosquito is the same one that gives you the chikungunya and the rest of it, and dengue is endemic to St. Lucia. So with our historical profile in our planning, we know at what time per year what we will face as a hazard is concerned. So the shocks are there, the hazards are there. We know when and we know how to respond to it now.
We're looking at the most severe outbreak of dengue we've had in recent years.
Absolutely.
And being compounded by the COVID-19 situation. Can you speak to that scenario, the significance of it, and the capability of not only St. Lucia, but our region to respond to this effectively?
Okay. So we have a pandemic and an epidemic. And they both threaten human lives. It is difficult to be out in the pandemic to carry on your work as you would do normally. So you have to develop new strategies. For example, at the height of the outbreak of the COVID, when everybody was afraid after hearing so much death, and so every St. Lucian was afraid. They locked their doors, which was the correct thing to do, and this is biblical also, and quarantine yourself, etc. And we do things in a dignified manner. So I have something for you, I bring it to you, and I hand it over to you. During COVID, I had to call you and tell you, hey, I understand. Therefore, I'm going to bring something to you. You cannot see me. I'm going to put it on your step. So I'll knock 3 times, spray your step, and I'm gone, and then you go and collect it. So all of this, I mean, we have new ways to work. We have the double whammy, like you have said. But we have not given up. Right now, we are paying attention to both at the same time. We are.
And what of your colleagues in the other islands in terms of contending with this?
Yeah, in some of the other islands, dengue is not endemic to them.
But the COVID-19 situation.
But COVID-19 has, in Bahamas, we have had the most concern where people die and so on. St. Vincent, the doors have always been opened, and but there seems to be a dichotomy. Something is missing with this whole COVID thing. Why so many die here and none die here? Why there's something missing? But the response remained the same, asking people to be careful, to be very, very careful. And the education is the same. St. Lucia has the highest budget. Nobody got so much money as St. Lucia did within the Caribbean. So we are continuing and we are pressing on as a Caribbean, and I think, I know, not even I think, I know, there is worse to come. And the recession will be tougher next year, very much tougher. And we already start planning for next year. And we're discussing how much money that possibly can be had for the response. We are with another lockdown and all of that.
I won't probe you any further on that.
No, don't.
We do hope and trust that you guys are managing it well.
Yeah, we're trying our very best under the given circumstances, no doubt.
Absolutely. you know, we saw COVID-19 come in December of 2019, the very same year that the St. Lucia, the Federation,
the Federation
of Red Cross and Red Crescent.
I was going to correct that. The Federation is 100 years.
It's 100 years
and
as
the
of
St. Lucia
2019.
Red Cross celebrated 70 years at the same time.
70 years at the same time.
Yeah.
Speak to us about this milestone, how far the Red Cross has come, and as you mentioned, most dignified and respected institution globally, and also the activities surrounding that observance last year.
Yeah, last year, within the observance, it's not anything that was absolutely glamorous. One must understand, as the organization we are, this organization has gotten a Nobel Prize and all this type of thing, and it was named for another one, and we have a lot of Nobel laureates amongst us, princes, princesses, you know, so that type of thing. And one begins to understand it's more about caring, more than, you know, it's not internal to yourself, rather than it's reaching out. So anything we do by way of commemoration is something to help somebody else. That because this year we are doing that for you, that type of thing. So the level of celebration wouldn't be grand. I mean, I was in Geneva, and we spoke about it a bit. We are 100 years, the Harley-Davidson, you know, and all this type of thing. The Henri Dunat medal was given to a number of persons for the efforts within this period, you know, posthumously and otherwise. But generally, it wasn't a time to beat our chest and have fete or anything like that. No, it wasn't. It will never be.
But definitely something to mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and definitely COVID-19 being a pandemic, a new challenge of sorts.
Of course.
To test.
Of course. We had just done Strategy 2030, and we are trying to align them with the sustainable goals. And resulting from that, we recognize that we have had the challenge that we have fed for the past 30 years. And it's right on our doorsteps. And there are certain things that they are unexplainable, because you need to fight any disease you have through your immune system. The fact that you're suffering, you have a fever, shows that your body is battling it. So there are a number of things that still confuse us, but we'll continue to work.
Wonderful. We're rounding off our interview for the morning. Any final words?
Oh, finally, I want to let people know that, and let me say to St. Lucians, I know you're brilliant, you're ingenious, but don't do this. You're making my work difficult for me, in that I'm trying to protect the most vulnerable. So when you come with your creative methods of telling lies and, you know,
misinformation.
You're actually, as it were, robbing your neighbor. Now, I've been there, I've done that, not only in St. Lucia, Haiti, Grenada, you know, just to name, I could continue naming, and after serious things. And people don't do this, because when, for example, I call somebody, they share the number with you, and then you call the Red Cross and say, I have been called by the Red Cross on so-and-so day. And nobody has the name, so you've got to go through the records, and that call was never made. And I can tell you some horror stories. So I wanted to stop it. Because for me, I need to help the most vulnerable, and allow me to help them. Don't try to break the system and waste my time. It boils down to the fact that you're wasting my time. You cannot break the system. You just cannot break it. So don't try it. You know?
And an appeal for continued adherence to the protocols.
Absolutely. I mean, I will appeal for them to adhere to it, because this is what is likely possibly to save them. Do what is right. And like I tell you from the beginning, cleanliness is next to godliness. And I believe the first step is to make sure your hands are always clean. Because otherwise, I have my own concerns as an individual. Like I've said to you, that we are made up of solid, liquid, and there is oxygen. So I have my concerns. I drink water, I urinate. I eat solid, I go to the loo. Number 2, if I breathe in oxygen, I breathe out carbon dioxide also. So I'm concerned that I trap the carbon dioxide in my face. You see, these are my concerns. And dentist is telling me this is creating problems with your gums and all the rest. So I have my, in quote unquote, little reservations or questions about certain things, but I want them to practice the protocols as best as they possibly can. Even when it came to the fogging of the mosquito and everything, and the ministry wanting chemicals to do this, I had to actually say, I don't think so. And that's based on the fact that certain persons have respiratory problems, and we have problems with this thing, and then you go and spray this thing amongst people who already have this. There's a combination. And there are a number of things that go with all these things that people need to start thinking about. But I mean, I'm with it. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and you be a human being and think. You can think too.
Wonderful.
You can think.
On that note, I'd like to thank you so very much, Mr. Pierre, for your time, sitting in and just keeping us up to date with the work of the St. Lucia Red Cross. Mr. Hubert Austin Pierre, President of the St. Lucia Red Cross, they're giving us an update on their response to the pandemic. Once again, thank you so very much.
It was a pleasure.
We are due for a break. When we come back, we speak to Danielle Dubois. She is playing a very prominent role in the National Arts Festival's latest installation. We have the virtual theatre arts series. We'll be speaking to her on the reality TV aspect of things. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Jim Joseph, President of the Beausejour Community Group. We believe St. Lucia can win the war against the coronavirus, and here's how. Every community in St. Lucia must mobilize, coordinate, monitor and support residents the way we would before, during and after a natural disaster. Identify volunteers in your community, assign them roles and deploy them. Ensure your elderly and vulnerable understand all protocols. Help relatives, shield them from unnecessary contact with others. Identify those recently unemployed and vulnerable neighbors living alone. Put systems in place to filter updates from official sources throughout your community. Promote the hotline number 311. If it takes a village to raise a child, then all of us can come together to defend the village against the coronavirus. Let's do it.
Together let us win this war. St. Lucia be a soldier. Together we can beat this corona.
We got this.
Yeah.
I can make it.
Ooh.
We don't have no other choice but to be strong.
We gonna make it.
What do you mean? What you mean?
I am a voice of hope, and I just wanna let you know that I believe in our strength as a people and the promise of a bright tomorrow.
And I want you to believe and trust.
I know God is watching over us, and I believe if we all come together now, everything will be alright.
We only press on.
Strengthen the bond and the ties among this generation.
Unite and be one, the fight will be won.
Come on, Caribbean.
Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life and conquer this. Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life, 'cause we got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. Caribbean people, we got this.
We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. I am the strength within, yeah.
I know that we will rise again, and I'm sure we can lift our people.
It's a fight and we must all be shared. I can't believe this day has come.
For our sake, we must keep distance.
Everyone looking out for the neighbor.
strong, the battle is on.
For the future of each generation. Every daughter and son united as one.
Sing on, Caribbean.
Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life and conquer it. Don't worry about the circumstances.
Must
Don't
come.
stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance
No
at
stress.
life. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this. Caribbean people, we got this.
Hear me? Rough it up, the dirty enough, still have to get up. Don't for me now, the giddy and me have to stand up. Cause virus a rush, we still can't touch, we still can't crush we. We have faith, hope, strength, protection of the Almighty.
And we prayed up, yes, yes, we prayed up. And we stayed up, yes, yes, we stayed up. Head high full of confidence, we not keep bucket, tell them we never gave up. Big up essential workers, rest in peace, we fallen soldiers. Corona can't conquer, we West Indies, one love and unity, yeah.
Don't worry about the circumstances. Don't stress about the fears and the madness. Together we will take our chance at life. We got this. We got this. We got this. We got this.
We got this.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Before we got off to break, we were speaking to Mr. Hubert Pierre, the president of the St. Lucia Red Cross. They're giving us some information on the work of that institution in response to COVID-19, the dengue outbreak, and more. We know they celebrated their 100 years in existence, the Federation, the Global Federation, and for St. Lucia's Red Cross, 70 years in existence for 2019. We continue with our morning programming with an interview from the National Arts Festival. The Cultural Development Foundation has been bringing you the drama behind the drama with the Theatre Live series, this latest installment of the National Arts Festival for 2020 going into 2021. In studio, we have one of the directors of the theatre activities happening, and she is from DramaCon. And this weekend, if you've been following the episodes, this weekend coming, we'll be having the premiere of her play, Gopwell Rehabilitation Center. Good morning to you, Danielle.
Good morning, Miss Jessie Leos.
Danielle Dubois.
DramaCon.
DramaCon.
Yes, good morning, Jessie.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Wonderful.
good. Thank you so much.
I know this has been quite an experience for you. I know
Yeah.
you are well experienced in theater, but before we get into the premiere for the weekend, speaking of your experience in theater, just give us your feedback on this reality TV expose of theater.
Yeah, I think what CDF and bringing us on board and together with Hayden Ford tried to achieve with the drama behind the drama is very much so unprecedented, and I don't think there's anything like it that ever has happened in St. Lucia in terms of the reality aspect of it. The objective of the reality series was basically to document the process behind the scenes, because everybody knows what it's like. They see all the stars and the glitz and the glamour, but they don't see the grit and the grinding behind the scenes, and how technical the work is. So the reality series sought to try and achieve that, so that people can gain some kind of appreciation for the art form, basically. And I think we did well. We did well. It was interesting. Everybody basically got on board. We had really high highs and some low lows, but we're so grateful that we were able to complete the project.
And as a mover and shaker of that genre, speak to us about the journey so far. I know we've seen it, it's been documented, but the first-hand experience of this journey leading up to your latest production.
Okay, so it's so much, like it was really a process of growth and development, like as an individual, as a director, and I think all the cast members as well. Our co-founder Chanel Justin, Shine Savory, who is like this brilliant star, and her name's just basically just endorses just her talent. She's in Form 4 and she followed us through the process. And I met her at convent when I was a teacher there, and she was just so curious to learn about the art form. And I just said, you know what, come along the journey to just see what it is to be part of developing a script. And this work was so it was discovery based, so as we went along we were continuously writing the script, going back and coming in, and Shine Savory was the one who basically really helped me format and structure the play, because I kind of call myself a chaotic creative. So the support from her, and she's what, only 15, 16, and you know, it was just a really good gel. So for everyone, the personal development, the growth, our characters, our actors, our members, the team, who I know is watching, some of them, most of them never ever did anything on stage before, so this was actually their first time. So it was a really, really good experience. Personally, as a director, it's the first time that I've actually completed a piece of work that is actually mine, and it's not like I'm being contracted to direct a piece of work. So it was written and directed by me. Shine Savory also helped with the scripting. DramaCon, it's the first time we're actually getting to do a play, and with the advent of COVID-19 and CDF as well, we got the opportunity to document it. And just the fact that it's documented has opened up the world of possibilities in terms of what we can do with this content. So it's a lot, but we're just so happy and grateful for how everything turned out.
Wonderful. You mentioned Shine Savory there. I pegged her in one of the episodes that I saw her as quite the precocious young one. But some of the other characters in this activity, if you could just speak to some of them, and we saw a lot of the interpersonal drama playing out between them. Speak to some of the outstanding interactions that you've had with your team so far.
Well, it wasn't an easy one, but if I have to speak to my actors, I think I'm really proud of those who just decided to say yes and trust the process. And I think anybody who wants to choose drama or theater as a space to grow, or as a field to make a viable living, has to be able to say, yes, I'm going to try, yes, I'm going to be able to accept feedback, to be able to grow. So we have Natasha Grinedge, who is our doctor within the facility, you know, shy, you know, very, you know, but she just came out of her shell and we worked together. So like, I'm really proud of her. John Eloise, everybody just taking in their roles, and just trusting the process. Deshawn, I don't know if you know T Blacks as well. Taking on the role of Cashpan, and you know, it was not easy because there had times we really had to, and I know most of the time in the series, you know, it came across as though I was like this beast, but I think the characters, our members understood the importance of me just saying, yo guys, we could do it, try again. It's not good enough, try again. So people like Maeve Alexander, who has been with us from the beginning, because DramaCon has tried so many things. Our scope has changed so many times over the years. She was there when we made our first attempt at getting an adult chapter, and she's one of the stars for me. And especially in terms of all the soaps, and the role wasn't originally hers, and then the understudies and who left and who had to come in. Brianna, Jeremy, who is from another company, just coming in. So it was really a nice blend of people just saying yes and just being a part of it, to accept the process of growing and just saying, you know what, let me try this out.
Okay. And I'll be interested to hear from you the contrast that you see between DramaCon and Gemstones.
Oh, it's interesting. I think every director, when you want me to say, you want to speak on the content of the play or just the grouping?
Content, grouping, every aspect.
Okay. But we know Mr. Ford is a stalwart in the field, and you know, along the journey, he really did help me, because it did get difficult for me after a while, because you know, I had to remind myself, you know, this is the first time I'm actually directing adults. Like, you know, I've been okay with kids because I taught for so long already, but when you have to mobilize and encourage a group of adults who have their own lives and their own things going on, and to encourage them to be part of a play. That part of it was difficult for me in the beginning, and Mr. Ford really did assist me in terms of how I could approach rehearsals, how I can reach out to my actors. But Mr. Ford, I think, has something very unique. He represents this kind of quintessential St. Lucian type of theater, and so he captures that in his writing and stuff like that. With DramaCan, I try to be a little bit more, how would I say, avant-garde,
Okay.
right? And a little bit more to the time, in sense of presenting a piece of work that people that, we watch Netflix all the time, something that looks like it can just, you could probably go on Netflix one day and watch it. So I really try to bring aspects of different things, and it's a crazy world, but it makes sense. It's a madhouse, but it makes sense, So in my type of theater kind of leans more onto the absurd and I'm not unrealistic, boy. The word is leaving me, but a more absurd theater where people have to watch it and be like, what did I just watch? So I think that's where, and Mr. Ford is a little bit more realistic, more, you have to put everything on the stage, more realistic. So it's different types. So it's just a different theater style. So I think we're exploring. So even Chekapesh is what you call more realistic theater.
Yes.
And there's more experimental theater. That's what we're doing. So it's more developing and improvising as well in terms of the script and all of these things. So we're more experimental, a little bit more absurd, a little bit more crazy in that essence in terms of how we want to present our work.
Okay. So founder, director, DramaCan, give us a bit about your background in that regard.
Okay, so DramaCan started 3 years ago, and it was a group of us, two other partners of mine, Chanel Justin and my partner Conrad at the time. We grew together, and we said, you know what, how is it that we can use the talents that we know that we have to be able to make something, right? So it was, DramaCan really grew out of the fact that we, sometimes you just have to create your own platform. Sometimes you just have to create your own thing. If you're not getting invited to the table, create your own table, bring your chairs and water. So that's basically what DramaCan is. And as we went along, we've done so many things. We've done Easter camps. We've had a cohort in SJC for a long time, and SJC is like, I owe my everything that I am now to my experience as a teacher there for theater arts. Really molded me in terms of understanding what it is to teach theater and to make people see the importance of it. So that's why it's DramaCan, discover, evoke, inspire. And that's why it is, because the most heartwarming thing about drama, and I tell people drama saved my life when I was going to school. In secondary school, and my first theatrical production directed by Junior Frederick, who is my mentor up until today. It really helped me refocus and reposition my energies and everything, and it really molded the better part. So I wanted to try and see how we can share that experience with people, and that's what the essence of DramaCan is. So once you decide that you want to understand what drama is and become a thespian, it really has a lot to do with the self, accepting self, being yourself, because you can't pretend to be anybody else if you're not 100% yourself and you know who you are. So that's what DramaCan is.
Okay, and your love for drama, you've definitely put your money where your mouth is. You've studied it. Tell us a bit about your background in that respect.
Theater for me, I would say it is a labor of love. The only professional, I would say, training I've had is, I did a stint in Jamaica, again, Junior Frederick. And it's the same thing. We were in Zenaida Productions, and when she had her group, saw the importance of taking persons who wanted to run with this thing. And, I remember seeing her, going around getting sponsorship for us to be able to go Jamaica. We went to Edna Manley. So we did a summer program there in 2010. I was in A-level at the time. But, most of everything that I have today is honestly just experience, and I would say, a gift from God in terms of what we've been able to do. So my background with Zenaida Productions, and even the co-founder Chanel, we've been to Africa to perform for the National Arts. It was the World Black Arts Festival again in 2010. We've traveled throughout the region, Grenada, Carriacou, just performing. And in the beginning, I was a performer, but for some reason, I kind of shuffled back behind the stage. And
Does that tend to happen?
I don't know. I don't know, because this is a little part of me that like to perform as well, because, you know, I have the little ego part about Melody Queen, and that's a whole other story.
No, but I mean, does that tend to happen in the genre where you have actors tuning into persons who are behind the scenes?
Sometimes. And another thing too, again, you know, just taking the model from Junior Frederick, if you're doing drama, you have to learn about everything in the discipline. So, for example, Chanel Justin, it's acting, and she also does stage management. She's like the best stage manager you could ever have, right? Some other people like to do the visual and the lighting. So, yeah, they had times when I was young and you had to be in the lighting booth, pal, because that's your turn, you understand? Or learn how to do music and the technical aspects of the projecting screens and stuff like that. So, and that's the idea that I want to do for DramaCon as well. Everybody should get exposed to all aspects of it. Nice. So as much as possible, I try to bring in the members with the script writing. Even now, I'm trying to make the writing for the part 2 open, in the sense that it's not just only me. We could have like a team of writers, like Game of Thrones. You see, it's like 12 people writing the script, and it's not just one person. And there's a reason for that. Even if the best writers like Shonda Rhimes, it's a team of people writing. So, you know, we're building the team. Some of the people within the team have expressed to me, Danielle, you know, I want to try directing, or Danielle, you know, I want to try doing this role, etc. So it piques the interest of the members to just really, when they see what it is, they can decide after. So I don't think that's the story for everyone, but because that you're exposed to everything being in the field, you realize where your groove is. And I realize my groove is behind the scenes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So no Tyler Perry. More inclusive.
When you say Tyler Perry, what
well,
you mean?
Tyler Perry scripts is all his work.
Yeah.
Moving on expeditiously. We're going back to the premiere, but before we get to the premiere, I want to ask you, did you at all feel, because we listen to the reality TV stars in the US, and they give the impression sometimes that they're not satisfied with the way they were portrayed in the reality TV series. Perhaps some parts of the scenes were cut out and you know, put together and manipulated in a way that did not portray them well. Did you have any feelings, you know, to that effect? And no this to Director Hippolyte there, but did you ever feel that, you know, you weren't portrayed in the right way?
I feel like probably the focus is a little bit more on the heat of what was happening behind the scenes. So, you know, in terms of how it was shot, if you have to do the process again, a lot of things would be done differently. But, you know, it's a reality series, so we had to basically highlight the juicy parts.
Certainly.
For one, I didn't like how I just used to come rehearsals and look like I see a zombie, but it is what it is, because when you wake up on a Saturday morning and you just take a shower, brush your teeth, and you know in the cultural center until 4 o'clock, you know, you don't care because you have work to do. But so in that essence, I don't think so, because it's such a reflection of what was happening in terms of me as a director, all the struggles, you know, if everybody trying to get them into the groove with time and the discipline. But as they say, it is what it is. And I've come to terms with how it was done and portrayed, and, you know, let's see what the future brings.
So a job well done on the part of Mr. Hippolyte.
It did what it had to do. I believe it did what it had to do. Every director has their vision, and even CDF as well, you know, had their hand to play in terms of what exactly they wanted to portray, what was the objectives coming out of this reality series. And, you know, a major part about being an actor and a performer, an artist as a whole, a lot of it is not about you. So I had to go through that process of like, it's not about you, Danielle, it's not about how you look, it's not about, you know, it's about this thing that's bigger than all of us right now. Because in my mind, like, anybody, the right person can see it, and it could be streaming anywhere in the world, you understand? And that's what it is with the advent of social media, and, you know, the world now being a global village. You know, who's to say we cannot package our content and present it to the world as authentically Lucian work? So that's basically, you know, that's the takeaway for me, regardless of how it came out.
The premiere of your play, Hopewell Rehabilitation Center. Tell us about DramaCon's this coming to a head and what we can expect this weekend's episode.
Okay. I think St. Lucians can expect to see real raw themes being presented to them And, I know people be like, Gopal, oh, my Gopal, it may be a sad story, but it's really a beautiful story about people in a wellness center who've come to seek help from a doctor to help them through this Gopal. That's the story of Gopal. So we have 5 characters who are in the center. It's a fictional space, but the themes, the stories, the language is St. Lucian. It's everything about being St. Lucian. And I believe the themes, we have some very strong themes. I know some people might be a little bit jarred at it. We have themes about homosexuality and the choices people make. And it's not just about the fact that, people say Gopal is like something happened to you, but we also exploring that theme of sometimes we are the ones who have to reflect and be like, okay, probably we were the issue in the relationship. So it's all of these things, and the doctor is the counselor who is the voice of reason, who now sums up everything and says, well, this is what happened, and it's okay, and we're going to talk about it. And for me, I'm trying to make a point too about emotional wellness, because right now everybody know about, everybody's on the wave of self-care and understanding self, and there's this movement to me within the world right now of it's about the self, it's about becoming a better person, it's about discovery, it's about taking care of your mental and emotional health. And Gopal actually, the underwriting themes is actually that, basically that opportunity for you to speak and have a space to share.
Wonderful. The premiere of the play Gopal Rehabilitation Center happening this weekend. YouTube Live, Facebook Live at CDF St. Lucia, HTS channel 116 and NTN channel 112. You can tune in. It's at 7 p.m., yeah?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, and you can tune in and to get a look at it and be inspired.
Yeah. And I think I hope we can just support the movement. I still think that generally the viewership of the entire series could have been a lot better. I would like to see more St. Lucians. It doesn't take anything to like and share something. Like Mr. Ford thing went out, and I've been sharing, drama. Can we share everything local, anything artsy? So join the movement, like and share, encourage your people, your friends in the diaspora to just watch it, and to just see. And of course, the feedback, we open to it. That's just basically what it is. So yeah, on Sunday, basically, the world premiere of this little crazy thing that we decided to do.
Congratulations, Danielle.
Thank you very much.
Gopal Rehabilitation Center premiering this weekend, this Sunday at 7 p.m. Again, kudos to the Cultural Development Foundation, all of the individuals who are involved in this undertaking. The National Arts Festival, we've seen so far the silver lining, I should say, of COVID-19 in the virtual space, where more of our work has been able to be showcased to the general public.
And it's a major lesson for all of us too. I think moving forward, nobody who wants to do a production, maybe a play or dance production, we should never do work that's not documented. So the national mandate moving forward should be, you're doing anything, document your work, document. Because I've been in so many plays and I probably have like 5 pictures to represent my past, seriously, and that's not good, to build your portfolio. So COVID-19 and CDF had this vision, like, right now, we're talking to different people about distribution and publishing and intellectual property and all of these things, just because we did one thing differently, which was record the play, and we did that because of COVID. Wow. If COVID didn't come, we'd have probably just done it on stage the same way and, charge an entrance fee. But then there's so much we could still do that, but then we could also do that and that and that and that. Yeah. So COVID-19 and CDF's vision for what they tried to do, we're so grateful for the opportunity, because we've been trying to mount a play. And so I'm really grateful to the executive of CDF, the events department, Junior Frederick, all the support, because this is the platform that we're going to run with it now. And if we didn't get that support, I don't think we'd be able to now see this horizon of like, we can do anything. That's what it is right now.
Yeah, you see, tickets and getting into the cultural center is one thing, but copyright, these things last forever. Yeah. So again, congratulations to you, Danielle.
Thank you very much.
It's all the time we have for now.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you to the team so much. Thank you to the team, the people, all the actors, Maeve, John L, Deshawn, Shine, Kijan, Dr. Pat, Natasha, Chanel, Shine, all the people, Sasha, Brianne, all of these people who basically said yes and was agreed to ride this wave. And I just want to say that, you know, a heartfelt thank you to you guys, and like, you know, it's only the beginning of some amazing things to come and to happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Danielle Dubois, the founder and director of DramaCon, playing a prominent role in the virtual theatre arts series as part of the National Arts Festival. Again, thanks to CDF for this undertaking. It's all the time we have for this morning. We'd like to thank you so much for watching. But before we go, want to give you some quick updates. One coming from the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Gender Relations and Sustainable Development. Very important. Students are to return to the classroom on January 11th, 2021. The Department of Education, Innovation and Gender Relations wishes to inform all stakeholders of the intent of the ministry to resume operations in the physical setting of the official reopening date of January 4th, 2021. However, the plan is for teachers and other school staff to commence January 4th and students to return on January 11th. Cognizant of the health and safety of students and staff being paramount, the department has been and continues to consult with stakeholders to ensure the mode of operation provides for the safest possible environment for all. So please take note of that. School in the physical setting, it is intended by the Ministry of Education to resume this in January. So please prepare. And also the urgent public announcement coming from the Ministry of Equity, the indication that clients of the Public Assistance Program PAP of Castries, Babonneau, Gros-Islet and the Soucy Millet regions, that payment for the month of December 2020 will commence from Monday 21st December to Wednesday the 23rd at the Castries City Hall from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. daily. Of course, we will be expounding on this in our subsequent newscast, our subsequent broadcast. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Jessie Leon signing off for now. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and TGIF. Cheers.